You want me to put in a new app?
So here's video. We got these knuckleheads.
Or are you
in the
gonna do
front. Got the other big knucklehead.
He'll take care of it.
All right. This clown. Clown. That's right. The Cleveland Clowns. Here in Strongsville, going to get some grub. If Chris doesn't kill us in this truck, he's sitting on a bunch of phone books to see over the steering wheel. Alright. Oh, I got more footage of him waving now for videos. Chris from Missouri. Big Mike from up north. Buying another trim card. That's it. Another trim card for Mike. Add to the trim collection. Where's the card? Chris is already stealing it. Here, cover the price. Just let me see the card. Cover the price. There we go. I don't want, unless Mike wants to tell the road what he's paying for it. Cool. Hey everyone, it's Don with Don's Field of Dreams Cards. Going to share my experience at the Strongsville Card Show this past weekend. I know a couple guys have already shared their experience, and wanted to go over mine a little bit. So I didn't get there until Saturday. Had to work on Friday, so I missed Eric Four-Leaf. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend some time with him, which I would have loved to have done. Rolled into just Strongsville, which is just a little bit south of Cleveland, about 10:30. It's only a 2-hour drive for me, so, and it's a pretty easy drive, so it's got up there quick and got into the show. Ran into Scott, Reindeer Studios. Then ran into Mike, Canadian Cards, and then Chris from Missouri, which I knew all those guys were going. We had actually, kind of planned meeting up. And then I got to meet Josh, Jay Stottlemyre one. Had never talked to him before, at least in person. First time I got to meet him. So that was pretty cool. And then ran into Andrew Enough Said Cards. And missed him last year, and Josh, who were both at the show. And then went out to lunch and dinner with Mike and Chris and Scott and Mike's friend Steven, I believe his name was. And then that night, hung out at the bar a little bit with those guys and got to really get to know Andrew and Josh a lot better. And it was awesome hanging out with those guys. So for me, again, and I've said this so many times, but just these YouTube get-togethers are so much fun. And I got to add a few more names and photos to my signature book, although I didn't have it when I was with Andrew, and I never seemed to have it when I was with Mike, and I spent quite a bit of time with Mike. But just the experiences, and as Chris said, it never disappoints. Chris was just like I thought he would be. And it's just, I don't know. It's not like anything else I've ever experienced. I can't imagine having a guy from Missouri drive 12 hours to mainly hang out with us, which still blows my mind that Chris drove that far, and really appreciate him doing it. Another guy from Toronto, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the DC area for Andrew, and Josh is from Columbus. So just crazy how this hobby brings us together. So a couple funny stories, and they're not nearly as funny as they would have been when they happened in person. But we were at lunch, and Mike mentioned I forget who the boxer was. He bought a boxing card, and Chris was like, "Well, what table was that at?" He's like, "Not telling." And it was just funny when he said it. And then Scott and Chris and I were standing in the show talking, and this guy comes up to us. I think his name was Jeff, and he looked at Chris. And he said, "Hey, I think I've seen you on Golden Age of Cardboard." And Chris was like, "Yeah, I've been on there a few times." And they were talking. He's like, "Oh, I follow your channel, and I'm subbed to you." And Chris says, "Oh, this is Don, Field of Dreams, and Scott Reindeer Studios." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen your videos." And he said, "Have you ever been on Mike's podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, 6 or 7 times." So this guy proceeds to get on his phone, and he goes, "Chris, I know I subbed to you. and he gets on there, and he hadn't subbed to Chris. So he subs to Chris, he gets to my channel. Now remember, this guy doesn't remember me at all, or recognize me at all. He's like, oh, I already subbed to your channel. And then poor Scott, he didn't remember Scott or sub to his channel. So it was just kind of funny that he loved Chris, but he didn't sub to his channel, had no idea who I was, but he subbed to my channel. So don't think he watches too many of my videos. So I did not pick up very much at this show at all, but I did get a couple things, and I'll share the here. And the first two cards I bought off of Craig and Holly, who Chris mentioned, and was on a video with Mike celebrating his anniversary of the golden age of cardboard. And he's, if you've gone to the National, you probably run into him. He's there with his wife, real nice guy, and gave me some deals on some cards. So the first one I got was the Deco Clemente, which I didn't have. And when we did that Clemente show, so all the guys had that, so I added that. Getting close to finishing my 1950 Hall of Fame run, Bowman Hall of Fame run. So I bought this Bobby Dorr off of him as well. And then Scott, Reindeer Studios, he gifted me this, Joe Gordon, which is very nice of him. So now all I need is Enos Slaughter and Luke Appling to finish it. And I might go for Casey Stengel too, even though I don't normally do managers. I have the Leo DeRocher, and so I might as well add Casey. And they're just two iconic members of the game. So walking around with Scott, he got these two amazing pieces, and I'm not going to say what they are because he hasn't made a video yet. And I asked him which vendor he got them from. So we went over there. The guy had a lot of photographs and ticket stubs and more kind of memorabilia type stuff than cards. And I said, do you have anything Stan Musial? And he said, what are you looking for? And I was like, nothing in particular. I'm always looking for something unique. And he pulled out these 3 photographs. And one was a pretty common batting stance of his that I've seen a million times. And then there was one that I was kind of interested in with him swinging, but it had some purple dye on it. And the first 2 were autographed, but they were kind of worn. It was done in pen. And I really didn't care about the autograph so much. And like I said, Scott was with me, and he thought this piece was cool as well, and so did I. So I basically bought this photograph. And then on the back it says original 1948 spring training type 1 photo. So it's like literally, 4x3 photograph, but you can tell it's in spring training here. And just thought it was a really cool, unique piece that you don't see every day. So even though I didn't buy much, I was able to add a unique Musial piece and a Clemente card that I didn't have. So the final thing that I have to show was unbelievably nice of my friend Chris from Missouri. So, when you go to a museum, sometimes you'll see a piece and it said, hey, this was loaned to the museum or on loan to this museum. So what Chris did was he loaned me a card, and he said, I want this to stay in your collection until you get one. And then once you do, you send this back to me. And so this is what Chris told me to hold on to, which is unbelievable. And I believe these stand for a rookie card post-war and his Mike Payne 300. And I don't know which one stands for which, but I think that's his identification. And you can see it's seen some action in its day. And Chris, I don't know if he traded for one or bought one, but he got another one. And he went up to his buddy Stan, who has a table there, and he showed him this card. And Stan was like, I know you didn't buy that piece of shit from me. But it's not a piece of shit to me. I've never heard of anyone doing this, saying, hey, borrow my card for a while, and didn't put a time limit on it because, I don't know when I'm going to get this card. But that's just a true friend there. obviously didn't have to do that. Either did Scott. But just hanging out with all those guys, you know, it is just like every single other time I've been on here from an event. And again, like Chris was saying, if you can get a regional event, go. You know, this was not my best card buying show by any means, but one of the best times I think I've ever had at a show. And so many laughs, and you know, I wish I could have the camera rolling the whole time, but just because there's just so much I would love to share. But kind of rambling on here, but thank you to you guys for coming up and spending time with me and just having a great time, and hope to do it more. So as always, guys, thanks for watching my video, and I'll talk to you soon.